Hello everyone and welcome to Things for Thought. Welcome to my channel. If you are looking for great horror movies to add to your watch list, I've got 10 recommendations that deliver scares, suspense and unforgettable moments. Whether you're into psychological horror, supernatural chills or straight up terror, there's something here for you. There are a couple of horror movies in this list that I regard as some of my favorite horror films, and not just because they're great horror films, but because they're great films really. If you haven't seen my last video with another 10 must-watch horror films, be sure to check that out too. Now no more delays, let's get started.
Here we go.
So, I know I said we're going to Moscow.
Yeah.
You guys ever heard of Chernobyl?
Yeah. That's where the nuclear disaster happened.
Yes. Have you heard of extreme tourism?
You're incredible.
Who's coming with Paul to Chernobyl?
Chernobyl.
Number 10, Chernobyl Diaries from 2012, directed by Brad Parker. One of the writers of the film was Oren Peli, best known for writing and directing Paranormal Activity. Chernobyl Diaries is a horror thriller that follows a group of 6 tourists who take an illegal extreme tour of Pripyat, the abandoned city near the Chernobyl nuclear disaster site. Led by a guide named Yuri, they explore the eerie ruins, but their trip takes a terrifying turn and their van is mysteriously sabotaged, leaving them stranded. As night falls, they realize they're not alone. Something is stalking them in the darkness. One by one, they are hunted by unseen attackers. As they desperately try to escape, they face radiation exposure, deadly encounters and horrifying discoveries. The film builds tension through its unsettling setting and escalating dread, culminating in a grim and eerie conclusion. It also effectively uses its setting to create an atmosphere of isolation, fear and the unknown. The abandoned city of Pripyat, with its decayed buildings, rusting amusement park and overgrown streets, serves as a naturally eerie backdrop. The film also plays on the real-life history of the Chernobyl disaster, tapping into fears of radiation, government secrecy, and the dangers lurking in places humanity has left behind.
Hello?
They're following us.
They're not following us, they're hunting us.
They got him! I'm not leaving without my brother! Please help us!
Brian?
Yeah.
When was the last time you felt the tender touch of a woman?
Brian just needs to be touched by another human being.
Oh, leave Brian's sad sex life alone.
Leave Brian alone!
You ladies gonna get down next?
Number 9 on the list is one of the lesser known films I found, unfortunately because it's quite good. Exists from 2014, directed by Eduardo Sanchez, most famous for co-creating the Blair Witch Project. Exists is a found footage horror film that follows a group of friends who venture into the Texas woods for a weekend getaway at a remote cabin. After accidentally hitting something with their car on the way, they soon realize they are being stalked by a vengeful and terrifying creature, Bigfoot herself. As the attacks escalate, their attempts to escape turn into a desperate fight for survival, with the film building tension through shaky first-person camera work and intense chase sequences. In the realm of Bigfoot horror films, Exists stands out for its creature design and relentless pacing. Many Bigfoot movies struggle with either poor effects or an over-reliance on mystery, but Exists fully commits to showing the creature as a powerful, intelligent, and yet terrifying presence. Instead of portraying Bigfoot as a misunderstood beast, the film leans into the idea of it being a true predator, making it one of the more intense and action-packed entries in the genre.
Shut up about a Sasquatch.
It's okay. There's nothing out here.
Uncle Bob! It's Matt! We're at the cabin!
Number 8, a British entry, Kill List from 2011, directed by Ben Wheatley. This is a psychological horror thriller that starts as a gritty crime drama before descending into nightmarish terror. The film follows Jay, a struggling ex-soldier turned hitman who takes on a mysterious assassination job with his partner Gal. As they work through their kill list, they encounter unsettlingly grateful victims, cryptic symbols, and an eerie sense that they are being watched. What begins as a brutal crime story slowly morphs into supernatural horror, culminating in a terrifying final act. The film's creeping dread builds through subtle, almost ritualistic elements, whispered chants, strange symbols, and unnerving behavior from seemingly ordinary people. By the time Jay realizes he's part of something far bigger and more sinister than a contract killing, it's too late. Kill List blends folk horror with psychological terror, leading to a disturbing climax that lingers long after the credits roll.
In the name of the Holy Spirit.
This job is not for everyone.
Because of the hours?
Because the only co-workers are cadavers.
Number 7, The Possession of Hannah Grace from 2018, directed by Dietrich van Rooyen. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. This is a supernatural horror film that follows Megan, a former cop struggling with trauma and addiction who takes a night shift job at a morgue. One night, the body of Hannah Grace, a young woman who died during a failed exorcism, arrives at the facility. As Megan works alone in the morgue, strange and terrifying events unfold, and she realizes that Hannah's body is not just a corpse, it's something far more sinister. Unlike many possession films that focus on exorcisms and religious rituals, The Possession of Hannah Grace takes a different approach by exploring what happens after the demon has supposedly been expelled. The cold, sterile morgue setting adds to the horror, making it feel more like a supernatural thriller with elements of body horror. While the film doesn't reinvent the genre, it offers a fresh perspective on possession by shifting the setting from haunted houses and churches to a claustrophobic, inescapable workplace where evil simply refuses to die.
When you die, you die. You've got to focus. Just breathe. When you die, you die. When you die, you die. When you die, you die. End of story.
Hello?
Number 6 is The Hills Have Eyes from 2006, directed by Alexandre Ayer. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, I think he's French. This is a remake of Wes Craven's 1977 cult horror classic. Both versions follow a family traveling through the desert who become stranded and are hunted by a group of mutated cannibalistic survivors of nuclear testing. In the 2006 version, the Carter family traveling on a road trip is misled by a gas station attendant into taking a dangerous shortcut through the New Mexico desert. The car breaks down and they soon realize they're being watched by a group of deformed, violent mutants who live in the hills and who are victims of nuclear radiation from government tests. The family is brutally attacked, but they fight back against the mutants in a desperate struggle for survival. The original 1977 version had a lower budget but became a horror classic due to its raw violence and themes of savagery versus civilization. The 2006 remake stays true to the original's brutal tone but amps up the gore and intensity, making it one of the more extreme horror remakes of the 2000s. The remake also expands on the backstory of the mutants, giving them a more detailed history tied to US nuclear testing. Both films explore themes of human resilience, revenge, and the breakdown of morality in the face of violence.
I haven't seen a car in 50 miles.
Number 5, Jeepers Creepers from 2001, directed by Victor Salva. It follows two siblings who are driving home from college through rural Florida. Along the way, they encounter a mysterious, rusted truck that aggressively harasses them on the road. Later, they spot the driver, an eerie, cloaked figure, dumping what looks like bodies down a pipe near an abandoned church. Curious, Derry, one of the siblings, investigates and discovers a horrifying underground lair filled with human corpses stitched together in grotesque displays. Realizing they are being stalked by a supernatural creature, the Creeper, they seek help from locals and a psychic who warns them that a creeper emerges every 23 years to feed for 23 days, consuming body parts to regenerate itself. As the night unfolds, the siblings desperately try to escape, but the creeper proves to be nearly unstoppable. The film blends road horror with supernatural terror, drawing inspiration from urban legends and classic monster movies. It spawned several sequels, expanding on the creeper's origins and mythology. The original, Jeepers Creepers from 2001, remains a standout for its eerie atmosphere, suspenseful pacing, and the chilling nature of its villain.
You think he's dead?
They never are.
Jeepers Creepers.
Come on, Peter. Let's just sue him.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious.
Number 4, a more recent gem, Hereditary from 2018, directed by Ari Aster. This is a psychological and supernatural horror film that follows the Graham family as they unravel dark secrets after the death of their secretive grandmother. Annie, played by Toni Collette, an artist, begins to notice eerie occurrences affecting his son Peter and daughter Charlie. As tragedy strikes again, Annie discovers that her family has been entangled in an occult conspiracy involving a demon called Paimon. The film builds to a disturbing climax, as some of the family members become the vessels for Paimon, fulfilling the cult's ritual. Hereditary is a modern take on occult horror, a subgenre that explores themes of hidden cults, demonic forces, and supernatural rituals. It shares DNA with classics like Rosemary's Baby and The Wicker Man, which also depict unsuspecting protagonists being manipulated by sinister groups. Known for its slow-burning dread, shocking imagery, and psychological depth, Hereditary has been praised as one of the most unsettling horror films of the 21st century.
Don't you ever raise your voice at me! your mother! Please stop! Mom, what's happening? Make it stop! Make it stop!
I just don't want to put any more stress on my family.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. As you can see, the housework has been rather neglected since the servants disappeared almost a week ago.
Do you mean they just vanished?
Into thin air. Perhaps I should...
Number 3, The Others from 2001, one of the best ghost horror films ever made, and perhaps even one of the best films of this century. Directed by Alejandro Amenábar, this is a gothic horror film set in post-World War II England. Grace, played by Nicole Kidman, lives in a remote, dimly lit mansion with her 2 children, Anne and Nicholas, who suffer from a rare condition that makes them extremely sensitive to light. She enforces strict rules in the house, keeping the curtains drawn and ensuring no door is open without closing the previous one. After hiring 3 new servants who mysteriously arrive at her doorstep, Grace begins experiencing unsettling events. Strange noises, doors opening on their own, and her daughter claiming to see people who aren't there. As the paranoia grows, she becomes convinced that malevolent spirits are invading her home. Meanwhile, the servants seem to know more than they let on, and Grace is forced to confront the possibility that something is terribly wrong with her reality. With its eerie atmosphere, slow-burning suspense, and psychological depth, The Others is a modern classic of supernatural horror. It draws from traditional ghost story films like The Innocents and The Haunting, relying on mood and mystery rather than gore or jump scares. The film masterfully builds tension, leading to a shocking revelation that redefines everything the audience has seen.
Come here! Run! Can't you hear it? There's someone there.
Sooner or later, they'll find you.
Where is my daughter?
Are you mad? I am your daughter.
Number 2, The Woman in Black from 2012, one of my all-time favorite horror movies, directed by James Watkins. It's starring Daniel Radcliffe as Arthur Kipps, a grieving lawyer who is sent to a remote village to settle an estate. Upon arriving in the eerie Eelmarsh house, he encounters unsettling paranormal occurrences and learns of a vengeful spirit, the Woman in Black, who causes the deaths of local children whenever she is seen. As Kipps unravels the town's dark history, he becomes entangled in the ghost's anger. The film is a typical gothic horror film and is based on Susan Hill's novel. It embodies classic ghost story elements, an isolated setting, a somewhat troubling backstory, and a relentless spirit. It shares DNA with movies like The Others, which you just mentioned, and The Innocents, emphasizing atmosphere and psychological dread over gore. With chilling cinematography and slow-building terror, The Woman in Black stands as a modern take on traditional haunted house horror. Number 1, 30 Days of Night from 2007, directed by David Slade, one of the best horror movies of this century and certainly one of the best vampire horror movies ever made. This is a brutal vampire horror film set in the isolated town of Barrow, Alaska, where the sun disappears for a full month each winter. As darkness falls, a group of savage, bloodthirsty vampires descends upon the town, cutting it off from the outside world. Sheriff Eben Olsen, played by Josh Hartnett, and a small group of survivors must outlast the relentless creatures while struggling with dwindling supplies and the overwhelming terror of being hunted night after night. 30 Days of Night reinvents vampire horror by portraying the creatures as primal, merciless predators, rather than the more romanticized versions seen in films like Dracula or Interview with the Vampire. It aligns more with the monstrous, relentless vampires of Nosferatu or Near Dark, emphasizing survival horror over gothic elegance. With its stark, snowy setting and intense atmosphere, 30 Days of Night delivers a fresh, brutal take on the vampire genre. Go and see this one, a huge recommendation from here.
That cold ain't the weather. That's death approaching.
They're tearing through everyone's home.
We can last a month.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this list. If you like this video, remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. See you next time. Bye!